And so innovation as a combination of concept and tools and methodology actually has a very long history and an enormous power. So inventions seem, when you look at our history, a combination of idea, tools, and methodology. But there's one very important third dimension to that we often forget in the euphoria about innovation, and the euphoria perhaps even of today. And that is that we are also able to learn from our mistakes. And that's an enormously important capacity. We are able to correct the unintended side effects of inventions. We are able to think ahead, to foresee, even if assessments or what have you cannot always help us to foresee everything, but we can learn to deal better with inventions. And you could rewrite our human history also as a continuous process of correction. But my worry is that we are moving towards a world of far more polarization. That is due to the fact that those who are in favor of innovation feel that they can promise the world. We solve everything. We solve climate change. We solve all the problems we have today. And those who are opposed, very rightly so, and very, I think, legitimately, say, well, I'm losing out. And it's the sense of losing out. It's the sense that innovations are there for others, for the rich, for those who are not you, that really creates that polarization. And, by the way, plays into the hands of certain populist tendencies that we have all over the world. So innovation is not just innocent. Innovation has political connotations that are very important. And most relevantly, I think, here is that innovation requires also a kind of mindset shift. Dealing with this polarization, dealing with the fact that we need to adjust, that we need to learn from our lessons, is not easy for most societies. But Europe has some unique capacities to do something differently in the area of innovation. By fostering the idea of correcting our mistakes, by creating an ecosystem that's not just the simplistic ecosystem that we now think of when we think about innovations. You have a campus and you have a couple of companies and you have some venture capital. No, the innovation ecosystem to me is an inclusive ecosystem. Where right from the start at primary schools, we try to involve everybody in thinking about progress. Progress that is so necessary, progress that requires not just technical innovations, but also innovations in values. And it's the value part, if you want to ask me, that I'm most worried about. Are we ready to have the right values to deal with the challenges, not just the challenges of climate change, but also the challenges that new technology brings? But I want you to think also about our responsibility that comes with dealing with such massive innovations of which we don't always know the effects. We are capable of that critical reflection, but it has to be part and parcel of what we call innovation. Thank you very much.
I think the real key is, are you capable of seeing things that are not right in front of you, but maybe a little bit further down the road, and see what the implications might be. We live in times that are changing faster than ever before. We're constantly connected, and technology is changing our lives. And it has some really, really interesting side effects. First of all, the speed. This is the first tweet of Jack Dorsey in 2006. This is my favorite image of the last presidential election in the United States. There you see how technology has become absolutely normal in record time. And it's not all good. This is a really sad image. What you see here is two people in bed, their faces illuminated by the shining of their smartphone. And the irony is, they're probably talking to each other. They're communicating about who's going to pick up the kids the next day from school. We have an almost blind trust in technology. We completely trust technology in ways we could have never imagined before. So there's a good side and a bad side, and that is really interesting. Many of the technologies in my field have become really boring in a very relatively short time frame. And I think what we need to do is focus on the day after tomorrow, which is a set of technologies that probably are going to have more impact in the next 15 years than in the last 30. That's the speed we have to be prepared for. People say, you spend too much time in Silicon Valley. Could be true. I believe we are now going to see an acceleration. And the acceleration is because technologies are coming together. We see the rise of new economic models like platforms. We see the importance of data, of intelligence, and automation, and that is a powerful cocktail which is going to transform almost every single industry. And I get excited by it, but a little scared at the same time. It is now probably 100 times cheaper to use technology than it was just 20 years ago. I did startups in the 90s. When I started a company in the 90s, I had to raise millions of euros just to get started. Servers, infrastructure, software. Now, it's 100 times cheaper. Any 21-year-old goes to the cloud and is up and running in 15 minutes. And once we see that it takes on, we have this new effect called category kings. This is a new phenomenon. Category kings means that companies can rise so quickly that they become ultra-dominant. This is the unicorns in the Silicon Valley ecosystem, the unicorns in the Chinese, and Europe isn't doing very well at this moment. We have a lot of talent, a lot of innovation, but we need to scale it up, and that's going to be our challenge. We're at the beginning of the age of cognitive. And when we start to automate, look at the expression on Obama's face. Look at his combination on his face that is a combination of wow and ooey at the same time. Practice that facial expression. You'll need it in the next 15 years. And I came up with a very simple idea. How much time do we spend on today, tomorrow, day after tomorrow? And what is today? It's the 112 emails in your inbox right now, since this morning, that when you woke up, you didn't know you had to deal with. And we spend a lot of time on today. That's not the problem. The problem is tomorrow. How much time do you spend on tomorrow? And most companies look at tomorrow by extrapolating today. Budgets is a great example. This is budget season. I love budgets. I love watching budgets. Budgets is a yearly sadistic ritual that companies do, where people put in fake and imaginary numbers in Excel, which is consolidating things that never work. And we do this every year. And this is the day after tomorrow. New ideas, new technologies, new innovations, new business models that could change the rule of the game. How much of your time you spend on today, tomorrow, day after tomorrow? Many people say 70, 20, 10. Reality is 93, 7, and 0. And the problem is value. Today, very important. Tomorrow, very important. Day after tomorrow, in a world that's moving fast, crucial if you want to survive. I wrote a book on this. When I did my first workshop with my new model, I was very proud. I had the chance to do this for an Australian company. Australians are even more outspoken than the Dutch. And the CEO at the end of the day said, Mr. Hinssen, thank you very much, but your model is wrong. I said, this is a very... He said, you forgot something. And this was on a flip chart. He took a big red pen. He drew that. I said, what is that? He said, that's the shit of yesterday we have to clean up, which creates negative value. I thought, that's... So I rewrote the book with the shit of yesterday. When you walk through this amazing thing, think about that. How much time are you spending on the day after tomorrow? How much on the shit of yesterday? And today, I think we're at a point where you have to ask yourself, how much of your time are you controlling your comfort zone? And how much are you rethinking how you can be relevant in that world of the day after tomorrow? This is the wrong slide. It's not one or the other. It's actually both. What you need to do is be comfortable with trying things. Be comfortable with experimentation. This idea, this era of fast change will only work if you have the psychological safety to be able to try things, to experiment, and to learn from your mistakes. Then you have a chance to really make it. Innovation is a wonderful thing to celebrate, but it isn't a luxury anymore. Innovation has become a necessity.